Hi, I'm Emily, and at 22, I poured 4 months into planning my sister's Sweet 16 bash, only for the family to jet off to Canada without a word to me. We just wanted to keep you occupied, Mom chuckled. You love putting things together, Dad tossed in. So I left her gift behind. By the next morning, my parents had called the cops on me. If you ever felt let down by those who should have had your back, drop a comment with where you're watching from. They say throwing a party is meant to be a blast, a creative spark, a chance to craft something unforgettable. That's what I told myself when I took on planning Lily's Sweet 16. I wasn't chasing a perfect dream. I just wanted something solid, something she'd look back on with a grin. Maybe she'd even tell her college buddies. My big sister threw me the best party ever. I imagined her walking in, fairy lights twinkling, the scent of food wafting through, music pulsing from the DJ's setup in the corner. I pictured her eyes sparkling, like they did when she was little and still saw me as someone to admire. I threw my heart into making that vision real. It began weeks back, shivering in the dollar store's cold aisle, debating between paper lanterns and balloons. Was purple too young? Was gold too flashy? I grabbed both. A little clash didn't matter. More color, more joy, right? It was a celebration, after all. Lily had a ton of friends, so the guest list was huge. That meant heaps of food, which meant days of prepping and cooking in my cramped kitchen, working late to nail every detail. I whipped up sliders, mini quiches, pasta salad. I spent 3 nights baking cookies, freezing them to keep them fresh. I even tackled a homemade birthday cake because buying one would have wrecked my budget. It wasn't about the money, though. It was about love, about showing her someone cared enough to go all in. On party day, I was up at dawn, pulling the cake from the freezer to thaw, double-checking decorations, sweeping an already spotless floor. I set up folding tables, draped with the nicest tablecloths I could find at a thrift shop, arranging food like those Pinterest moms I secretly envied. I wrapped her gift, a delicate gold locket I'd found at an estate sale 2 towns away. It wasn't pricey, but it felt meaningful. Inside, I slipped a tiny photo of us, me cradling her the day she was born, my face glowing with a joy I hardly recognize now. I imagined handing it to her, her opening it, seeing the picture, maybe throwing her arms around me, maybe tearing up, maybe just smiling so big it hurt. By 5:30, everything was set. Lights on, music cued, food laid out like a banquet. I slipped into my best dress, nothing fancy, navy blue, a bit worn, but Jake always said it made my eyes pop. I pushed thoughts of him away. Tonight wasn't about what ifs. It was about Lily. I stood before the mirror, practicing a smile, not too forced, just happy. Poof. 6 o'clock hit. I checked my phone, no text yet, no on our way or running late. I smoothed the tablecloth again, tweaked the centerpiece for the 3rd time. The DJ, a kid named Max I found on Craigslist, gave an awkward thumbs up from the corner. Ready to get this party started? He called. I laughed a bit too loud. Yeah, any second now. By 6:30, still no one. I refreshed my texts, checked Instagram. Nothing. Maybe traffic. Maybe a last-minute group selfie session, like teens do. I bit my thumbnail, instantly regretting it after spending an hour on my nails the night before, trying to feel polished. 7 o'clock. Max shifted uncomfortably behind his turntables. Want me to play some warm-up tracks? He asked. Sure, I said, voice breezy, like this was all planned. Pop music filled the empty room, echoing off the walls. I stood by the door, scanning the street every few seconds. Nothing but flickering porch lights and the occasional hum of a passing car. At 7:30, I called Lily. Voicemail. I tried Mom next. She picked up on the second ring, cheerful, loud on speaker. I heard Lily giggling in the background, tires humming. Oh, sweetie, Mom said brightly. Meant to tell you. Plans changed last minute. I gripped the phone tighter. We're off to Canada, she said. Isn't that fun? My brain stalled like a dying engine. I thought the party, I stammered. Well, Lily wanted something extra special, Mom said. And you were having such a blast planning, we didn't want to spoil it. Someone laughed, probably Lily. Dad's voice cut in muffled. We knew you'd enjoy it. You love organizing. I looked around the empty tables, untouched cake, fairy lights dimming like they'd given up. It wasn't a party. It was a wake, and I was the fool who didn't know it. I hung up, not sure if I said goodbye. I stood there, clutching my phone, as if it could tether me to reality. Max packed up silently. I didn't blame him. By 8, I blew out the candles, one by one, like snuffing out tiny hopes. By 9, I sat on the floor, knees to chest, staring at the locket in its wrap box. By 10, I knew this wasn't something I could just toss out with the decorations. Something inside me shifted. That night, something died. Soon, something new would spark, something they couldn't undo. I didn't sleep. Not from tears or anger, not even from plotting. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, the fairy lights humming faintly, wondering how it took 22 years to see it. This was never about one party. It never was. When I was 6 and Lily was born, I thought she was a treasure. I'd sneak into her room before school, watching her tiny fists flail like she was leading an invisible orchestra. Her bright, bubbly laugh softened Mom's tired face into something like joy. I thought my role was to keep Lily smiling, keep Mom and Dad content, stay out of the way. If that meant giving up the last cookie or skipping cartoons to watch her, I did it. It was love. It was family. At 10, Dad sat me down for a serious talk about duty. "You're the oldest, Emily," he said, as if I hadn't noticed the baby with more clothes than I had shoes. "Lily's younger. She needs more care. You're a big girl. You can manage." I nodded, because that's what big girls do. At 12, I wanted to join the school's art club, but Mom said it conflicted with picking Lily up from dance. "Family first," she said, handing me car keys before I could even drive. By high school, it was just life. Lily needed new soccer gear, so we cut the grocery budget. Lily needed braces, so I got a job at the corner store to help. I didn't resent her, not then. I thought it was normal, expected. I told myself once I was older, through college, making money, it'd be my turn to breathe. College was supposed to be the start. I didn't apply anywhere too far. Mom worried about emergencies, and Dad reminded me about Lily's schedule. Community college was practical, they said. Affordable, local, sensible. Responsible Emily didn't argue. I juggled classes with supermarket shifts and late-night babysitting for Lily's friends. I stretched $5 meals across 3 days, ignored classmates' chatter about study abroad or cross-country road trips. It was fine. Temporary. I had a plan. Work hard, graduate, get a stable job, help Lily through college. Then, maybe I could think about me. Sometimes, though, late at night when I was too tired to sleep, I'd pick up my guitar. I wasn't amazing, but good enough for open mics, good enough to dream a little. Music was mine, pure, not practical, just joy. There was a boy, too, back then Ethan Cole. Worn jeans, warm brown eyes, voice like smooth gravel. He played drums. We messed around in a band, doing covers, dabbling in originals. He talked about hitting the road, seeing the world with just a backpack and his guitar. He asked if I'd go with him. I laughed. "I've got responsibilities," I said. "Maybe someday." "Someday's a long wait," he said, but he smiled like he got it. He left. I stayed. That's what good daughters do. They stay, they give, and when there's nothing left, they smile and dig deeper. After college, I landed a job at an insurance office, steady pay, benefits, respectable. I saved every spare dollar for Lily's college fund. It wasn't much yet, but I had a plan. She wanted a fancy, Ivy-covered school out of state. I wanted her to have it, even if it meant staying in this town another decade. Then came Tom, solid, sweet Tom, who loved spreadsheets, DIY videos, and dreaming of a picket fence life. He loved me. Or the version of me he thought I could be if I stopped staring out windows like the world was whispering my name. For a while, I thought I could want that life too. Until he packed his bags and said, softly, "You don't belong here, Emily. You're just too scared to go." He wasn't wrong. So, when Mom asked me to plan Lily's Sweet 16, it felt like a chance to prove I wasn't selfish, that I could be what they needed, that I wasn't the failure Tom saw. I said yes before she finished asking. I told myself Lily's smile would fill the void Tom left, that if I worked hard enough, loved enough, gave enough, someone would finally see me. But standing in that empty apartment with cold candles, sagging frosting, and the locket still unopened, I realized they'd never see me. I wasn't a person to them. I was a tool, a service, a body to cook, clean, plan, pay, smile, and keep things running. When I stopped being useful, I stopped existing. I stayed up all night, the truth sinking into my core, anger burning low and steady. I didn't know what I'd do next, but I knew things were about to change. The morning after the non-party, the apartment reeked of frosting and defeat. I stood in the living room, arms crossed, staring at the leftover decorations. The fairy lights flickered, one already dead. The cake slumped, frosting sliding off. It should have hurt more. Maybe years ago it would have. Now it just felt empty, like I'd run out of reasons to pretend. I moved fast after that, not from panic, but clarity. First, I canceled my lease. My landlord, a grumpy old guy, didn't care about notice as long as I slipped him extra cash. I handed it over without flinching. Next, I walked into the office where I'd spent a year sorting other people's dreams into folders and quit. No 2 weeks notice. My boss's eyes bugged out as he read my letter, muttering about opportunities and burned bridges, but I was out the door before he finished. I wasn't burning bridges. I was lighting my own path. By noon, I was home. A one-way ticket to France glowed in my inbox like a challenge. I stared at it, the blinking cursor next to the confirmation number pulsing like a heartbeat. In 2 weeks, I'd be gone not just from this apartment, this town, but all of it. The last thing was Lily's gift, still wrapped, still waiting, like it believed in a different ending. I picked it up, it felt heavier than it should. Maybe because it wasn't just a locket anymore. It was everything I had left to say. I drove to my parents' house in the old Corolla Tom left behind, still smelling of stale coffee and regret. The streets were quiet, gray, a few soggy leaves stuck to the pavement. I thought this drive would feel like a dirge, but it didn't. I let myself in with the spare key hidden behind the porch light. They never changed it, assuming I'd never leave. Inside, everything was the same. Sagging couch, faded photos of Lily at every age, me just a shadow in the background. I climbed the creaky stairs to Lily's room, bigger than my whole apartment, strung with lights, Polaroids pinned to the walls, designer clothes tossed over chairs. I set the gift on her desk, a letter taped to it, written in my neatest hand after 4 hours of sleep. It said little, just the essentials. This was her last gift from me. I was leaving. I wasn't funding her college. I wished her well. Goodbye. No drama, no explanations, just the truth. I lingered a moment, fingers brushing her desk. Not sad, not angry, just done. I left, locked the door, dropped the key through the mail slot, and walked away without looking back. The call started before I got home. Mom, Dad, Lily, texts piling up so fast my phone nearly vibrated off the counter. Call now. What's wrong with you? Fix this. You're overreacting. I didn't answer, didn't read most of them. I sat at the table, sipping cold coffee, staring at the ticket on my screen like it was a map to a new life. At 5 p.m., someone pounded on my door. I knew who it was. I opened it, Mom, wild-eyed, clutching her phone like a shield. Dad, arms crossed tight. Lily, half-hidden, mascara streaked, more angry than sad. You can't be serious, Mom said, voice piercing. I leaned against the doorframe. I'm serious. You quit your job? Dad demanded. I nodded. Got the receipt if you want it. And a plane ticket? Mom's voice broke. I smiled sharp and small. One way. France. Silence. They stared like I'd grown wings. Lily stepped forward. You're ruining everything, she snapped. I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time I felt no guilt, no duty, no love tangled in obligation. I felt free. You said you had a change of heart, I said softly. About the party. About me. I stepped back, letting the door ease shut. Well, so did I. They argued, shouted, pulled out the old guilt trips. Family first. You owe us. We gave you everything. Mom cried. Lily threw out something about abandonment. I let them unravel, staying quiet, steady. Finally, they saw they weren't getting anywhere. Dad muttered about fixing this another way, and they left, slamming the door so hard the fairy lights shook. I locked it, turned off my phone, and sat at the table, breathing in the silence like fresh air. For a moment, I thought I might have lost it. But if this was crazy, it felt a lot like freedom. I slept that night, not deeply, but better than I had in months. Then came the police. Not a dramatic movie-style bang, just a polite knock that still made my stomach lurch. "Miss Carter," the taller officer said when I opened the door, "we need to ask about a reported theft." I stared, the words not clicking. Theft? Me. Some ridiculous part of me thought it was a mix-up, a break-in at the wrong house. "Your parents filed the report," he said, voice soft, like he was breaking bad news. The world tilted. They accused me of stealing Lily's college fund and cash from their house. The cash claim was absurd. They never kept money lying around, unless they planted it for a convenient story. It wasn't funny. It was sickening. They hadn't just guilt-tripped or shamed me. They tried to destroy me. I let the officers in, pulled out my folders, bank records, pay stubs. Calmly, methodically, I showed every cent was mine, the account always in my name. I didn't cry or shout. If I was going to survive this, I had to be the adult they never let me be. It wasn't quick calls, forms, the walls closing in as I wondered if I'd be cuffed before my flight. But logic prevailed. The money was mine. No evidence of theft. The case dropped before it could mark me. The officers apologized, stiff but polite. I thanked them, closed the door, and sat at the table, staring at the wood's cracks until my eyes blurred. An hour later, I was at my parents' door, not with hope or fear, but something colder. Dad answered, looking like he hadn't slept. "Can we talk?" I asked, voice like steel. He hesitated, then let me in. Mom sat in the living room, gripping a mug like it might break. Lily perched on the stairs, arms crossed, part furious, part scared. "You tried to have me arrested," I said, no sugarcoating. Mom flinched. Dad's jaw clenched. "We didn't mean it to go that far," he said. I laughed, a dry, empty sound. "What was the plan then? Trap me here? Scare me into staying?" No answer. I pushed on. "You made up theft charges against your own daughter. You weren't thinking straight," Mom said, voice shaky. "You quit your job, gave up your apartment, planned to run off to another country with no plan. We had to stop you for your own good." "My own good," I repeated flat. Dad nodded. "We thought an investigation would keep you here. You'd calm down. You'd thank us." I stared at the people who raised me, who thought control was love, who valued their fear over my freedom. I didn't shout or cry. I turned, walked out, closed the door. In the car, my hands trembled, not from sadness, but rage, the kind you don't come back from. By morning, I had a new plan. They wanted to lie about me? Fine. But they wouldn't do it in secret. I sent a simple email to the extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, just the facts. How I spent months planning Lily's Sweet 16. How they bailed for Canada without telling me. How they laughed. How they filed a false police report. No drama, just receipts. Then I messaged Lily's friends, the ones meant to come to the party, the ones I'd made gift bags for, now collecting dust. I didn't yell or slander, just shared why the party never happened, who was really responsible. The fallout was quick. Texts, emails, calls I ignored. Family gatherings would be tense for a while. Lily's birthday posts vanished. Mom's family values Facebook went silent. Actions have consequences, and so does silence. I didn't stick around for the drama. I had a plane to catch. Ethan texted that morning. Train tickets to Marseille booked, hostel set, music scene waiting. "Bring your guitar," he said. It wasn't a grand love story, just an open door, a reminder I was choosing something better, something mine. At the airport, waiting to board, I thought of Lily, how I'd once have moved mountains for her smile. Now I was just moving myself out of their gravity. It felt like loss, but also like triumph. Maybe both could be true. When my flight was called, I stood, grabbed my backpack, slung my guitar over my shoulder, took a final breath of stale airport air, and walked toward France, toward music, toward a life where I wasn't just the dependable one, but free. I don't know if I made all the right calls. Maybe there was a better way. Maybe not. But for the first time, I chose myself and I don't regret it. What do you think? Was I wrong to walk away like that? Should I have forgiven them? Or was it time to stop being the one who always stayed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories of mistakes, heartbreak, and a bit of hope, don't forget to subscribe to my channel.